flying can be downright miserable. But it's often your fellow passengers that'll make it a special hell. From screaming kids to drunken diatribes.
I'm bleeding. Why am I all like this?
As veteran flight attendant Heather Poole writes in her book, Cruising Attitude, the best anti-tantrum tactic is to get rid of troublemakers even before takeoff.
You spot the crazy ones as soon as they walk in? When you're saying good morning, good morning?
It's not hard to spot them. On my last flight, a guy walked on. You say, hi, how are you? I'm not happy.
The number one red flag, ignoring repeated warnings to turn off that cell phone. While the need to do so is open for debate, Heather has no choice but to enforce the law, despite passengers' best efforts to resist.
When you're sitting there with your head between your leg and you're talking to the floor, I don't think you have a friend down there. I know what you're doing.
On Andrei Stepsky's flight last year, one person chatting on the phone wasn't listening to anyone.
The woman just ignored the stewardess, turned away from her rudely, put her hand up as if to say, speak to the hand, I'm on the phone, you're not important.
The pilot also tried, but failed.
And the pilot immediately just turned around and said, get her off my plane.
You heavy people don't reach it. Let me go.
Almost 400 passengers were reported last year for refusing to turn off electronic devices or other onboard bad behavior.
Come on, I'm pointing. You told me to point. Don't be a hot ass.
And that's just at the New York City area airports alone. In fact, belligerence is another key red flag. Brandon Rodriguez and his girlfriend Jenna Brown saw exactly that in an erratic fellow flyer last July.
Everyone started looking around at each other saying, oh boy, is this what we're going to have to deal with for the next 2 or 3 hours on this plane?
I paid money for this plane.
Still on the runway, flight attendants couldn't convince her to calmly cooperate. So Brandon got his camera rolling.
Somebody help me!
They started laughing. It was in response to her yelling out, somebody help me. I mean, we don't want you here.
I'm going with you.
Heather Poole says there's good reason to get rid of potentially disruptive passengers before it's too late.
Well, if something escalates in flight, no one's coming. There's no police to call. There's no fireman to call.
Can't open the door.
No way out. Though several unstable passengers have actually tried, attempting to open the plane's door in mid-flight. A terrifying prospect that seems easy to pull off in this commercial. Fortunately, that's impossible. Cabin air pressure, together with special locks, keep the doors sealed shut. Another onboard problem, fighting passengers, often fueled by alcohol or medication. It can force a pilot to take drastic measures. Back in 2001, Cynthia and Crystal McCullough, twin sisters, were flying from San Francisco to Shanghai. Once in the air, they fought with each other and began cursing.
Why do it just let her beat me would be fine?
Screaming and spitting at fellow passengers.
I don't think any of us are happy over the situation that we're in right now. We're going to land the airplane. I know it's not good news.
After landing in Alaska, police board the plane and arrest the troublesome twins.
Please help me. Why? I didn't do nothing wrong.
The sisters were later fined and sentenced to community service. As for their 231 fellow passengers, all of them were stranded in Alaska for more than a day before completing their marathon trip. The biggest booster of bad behavior? Drinking. Making matters worse, alcohol actually becomes more potent at sky-high altitudes. But flight attendants have to walk a fine line between keeping customers happy and controlling their craziness. This alcohol-fueled high school senior trip to Mexico back in 1998 got the party started early with a wet t-shirt contest on board. The biggest surprise here, not only does the flight attendant on this charter let it continue, he actually jumps in to act as an MC. This saucy steward was soon out of a job. Of course, not all high-flying hijinks are so out in the open.
I just joined the Mile High Club in the bathroom across the Atlantic Ocean.
This guy was so proud of joining the legendary club in the airplane bathroom that he publicly staked his claim on YouTube.
It was with me.
So we knock, we pray they come out with their pants up.
Heather says these days you're more likely to find lofty lovers back in their seats on overnight flights.
Usually when one passenger is sitting on top of another passenger, you have a pretty good idea of what might be happening there. Throw that blanket away.
Remember, cameras are everywhere today, capturing outrageous behavior for the fame
Get my pants back up.
or shame of YouTube. But Andre has his own way of dealing with just the plain crazy.
I found it a hell of a lot easier to just take the bus.